where do you come up with that? And he
Yeah.
says, you in the radio business have two customers. You have a listener and you have an advertiser.
Mm.
It's no different than what I have. I have my tenant and I have their guest, which is my guest.
Mm.
Well, I'm thinking to myself, he's right.
Welcome back, everybody, to Ladders and Leverage. We are beyond excited to have a fellow Rotarian, Rick Lemmo, longtime real estate executive at Caruso, and has helped oversee and operate some of the most iconic mixed-use retail and hospitality projects in Southern California, including the Grove, Americana, Palisades Village, and one that we've stayed at, the Rosewood Miramar Beach. Love that
Santa
one.
Barbara.
Over the years, you played a huge role in building projects centered around experience, community, hospitality, and long-term value creation. So beyond real estate, Rick has also been very deeply involved in Cananea Valley community, serving as former president of the Rotary Club Thousand Oaks, Rotarian of the Year, and his leadership has extended across business, healthcare, and community organizations throughout the region. So excited this episode, we're going to discuss how Rick first connected with Rick Caruso and eventually joined the company. And I'm really interested to learn what the early vision behind the Caruso brand was and what separates, iconic developments versus just some of the average projects we see. And then we'll dive into leadership, relationships, and the future of retail, mixed-use development, and luxury hospitality projects like the Rosewood at Miramar. So Rick brings tons of experience and insight from operating at a high level of real estate and leadership and community building. So Rick, I was listening to the message that Rick Caruso sent to you, and he said, when the words were spoken, here comes Lemmo, that meant good things were going to happen. And usually he comes with donuts and coffee, which didn't happen today, but we'll forgive you for that.
Well, I would have felt guilty because look at the shape you guys are in. People expect me to carry donuts, but I would be embarrassed to serve you guys donuts. I might bring protein bars or something.
That's perfect.
Oh,
so he also said that you were involved in a project, and when he said the night he left you in Glendale, he said the project was dead in front of city council, which usually means, it's dead. And he said that you were distressed and he took off to Hawaii and you kept calling him and giving him updates, but you brought the project back to life, the Americano. So let's start there. Council said it was dead and you brought it back to life. How the heck did you get that approved?
Let me give you just a little bit more because Rick doesn't tell the entire whole story. First of all, Rick has been very gracious at complimenting me. I believe that the number one person that builds a company is the person that takes the risk, and he always did that. But looking at this night of the Americana, just to take it, it's not a terribly long story, but it's a little longer. Basically, city council had one issue that they had to have a vote of 5 on because it was a zoning related issue. And they were being pressured by then General Growth, which owned the Galleria right across the street, which would end up next door. And they owned a property around the corner, touched our property. That's why they needed a 5-0 vote. And about 10 after 3 in the morning, Rick had it. Or so he let us believe he had it. He also tells us over cocktails that was planned all along. But he goes, you know what? That's it. Now, keep in mind, we had probably 500 people at city council.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
200 sitting inside. Outside, we had screens, 300 chairs, in and out truck, you name it. I took care of keeping these people happy and keeping them there. If it wasn't on city property, we would have had cocktails too. Anyway, he goes strolling up to the front, goes to the city clerk and says, do you mind if I get a few words in? And the mayor goes, Mr. Caruso would like to say a few words. Yes, I'm pulling the project. Me and 500 other people are like, this guy is freaking nuts. We've spent millions to get to this point. That's it. I'm pulling the project. He and I walk outside. He goes, you're a mess. And I mean, the tears are coming down my face. And I said, I don't know why. Don't worry. The problem is you worry too much. Call me in the morning. Knowing full well what he was going to do, I didn't. So I open up, because it was 3:00 in the morning, slept a little late. I open up the LA Times. There's an article from Rick Caruso. They're interviewing him when he's in Hawaii. So I called him up, didn't answer the first time, answered the second time, which was, 30 seconds later. And he goes, good morning. And I don't know what are you allowed to say here?
And whatever you want.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Lemmo. Do you know what time it is in Hawaii? And I go, yeah. What the hell are you doing in Hawaii?
Oh my gosh.
And he goes, what? I planned a trip to Hawaii. We had it, planned. I said, you knew this last night? Yes. And you pulled the project? Don't worry, you'll take care of it. Well, how the hell am I supposed to take care of it? Just, you know what? Have a chat with your supporters. I said, they're going crazy this morning. The lady who's in charge, who I've been friends with now for almost 30 years, is a dear friend of mine. She was Realtor of the Year there and head of the Realty Association. She's calling me at like 4 a.m, 5 a.m. What the heck are you guys doing? We were planning on having this and the whole thing. I said, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm not going to call and get your permission. I'm just going to do it. Good, because I'm in Hawaii. No shit. So that ended that phone call. It was only like 4 days he was there. And I called up my supporters and I said, all right, so here's what we need to do. This has been your support this long. This has to be your dictate, not Rick Caruso's. Rick Caruso's out of it now. So it's either going to be Rick Caruso or some other developer that is dumb enough to buy these properties from us. But what I need you to do is to immediately start an email and a phone call campaign so that nothing gets done at City Hall by any employees because they're getting phone calls and emails, because the law is they have to answer those emails once they get into the public record.
Mm-hmm.
So it was beautiful. Now they can answer it with, yeah, we got your email. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. But remember that 4 of the 5 council members wanted us to have it passed. And the other guy kind of overplayed his hand. So one thing comes to another and the city calls and they go, do you think there's any way to save this? And I said, I don't know, but if there was any way to save it, it's going to be very difficult to do because his ass is in Hawaii. And he goes, well, don't worry, you can take care of that. City manager, I love him. At the time, the city manager was Jim Starbird, a class act of a guy. So, I wait, maybe a couple hours and I go, we're on. Do me a favor. I can't get in touch with Rick. Put us on the agenda for next Tuesday. Now, we had to have that decision made by Thursday. It's Wednesday. I'm not talking to Rick. I'm not talking to him kind of on purpose, but okay. Cause we've had a couple of really great skirmishes and he thinks they're a joke. Anyway. So one thing leads to another. We come back he comes back and I go, we're scheduled for next Tuesday at City Council. Well, what are we going to do? You could put the project back out there, but you're going to be doing this because as Rick Caruso, you're listening to the community. And they put it back on. We still went till 3 a.m, but it got passed.
Oh my gosh.
And it was a week. It was like hell week. It really was. I would be getting home at 3 o'clock in the morning, then meeting somebody from the Rotary or whatever at 7 for breakfast. And Caruso would go, why don't you just stay overnight? Because I'll just come home and see my wife.
Yeah.
Boy, you are Italian. No, I'm tired. I'm just going home to see my wife. So anyway, one thing led to another. It passed. And Rick was very gracious. We had 2,000 people at a formal dinner party the night before we opened the center to the public. All of us were wearing tuxedos. Rick said to us, when you get your tuxedo, don't get one of those clip-on ties. Learn how to tie a tie. All right. We had all of our supporters there. And we had won a lawsuit because some bonehead from General Growth left a message on Cheesecake Factory's voicemail saying, if you rent from Caruso, we're not going to renew your leases at any of our other centers. They were across the country, General
Wow.
Growth. So we take them to court for infringement, okay? Restraint of trade. We won millions, $79 million,
Oh my gosh.
Mm.
okay? But the fun part is, or the scary part for me as being in charge of outreach, Rick's up at the microphone making this big speech about all the people that were helpful. And he says, and let's hear it for our jury that's here tonight. They voted
Oh my
unanimously. And by
gosh.
the way, this is the same jury I'm going to get every time. And I'm sitting there like, holy crap. Now, let me tell you who was at this opening, because
Oh
it
my
was
God.
magnificent. It was hosted by Jay Leno, who is not only a friend of Rick's, but just a very, very kind, humble, fun kind of guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As much as he could be, considering the personal challenges he has every single day. Though his wife was pretty pre-Alzheimer's at best back then. That's number one. Number two, it was the Temptations and the Four Tops.
Oh.
They got it started.
Wow.
And then we had Natalie Cole,
Oh wow.
and she was magnificent. And she closed her portion by singing Unforgettable with her dad, both on video, but it's recording before he passed, of course. I don't think it was from heaven. That would have cost a lot more. Now, Rick has kept this whole thing secret. I find out about it the afternoon of the event. He's kept this whole thing secret, so nobody really knew. Then the USC marching band comes out. And then Tony Bennett.
Holy moly.
The crowd went crazy. As if that wasn't enough, he took the parking structure. We had to get special shoring for this event because people moving are heavier than cars. I don't understand. Don't you have to get out of a car to walk? But the city wanted special shoring. Then he built, which was kind of a replica of the Coconut Grove kind of bar as you get off the elevator. And then after you went through the bar, seating for 2,000, and he made a deal with Wolfgang Puck. And his deal was a simple deal. Everybody must be served within 10 minutes after you put my plate down,
Oh wow.
or I don't have to pay you. Wolfgang loved it
Yeah.
because Rick's a very smart man. But Wolfgang just hired as many people as he needed to hire. And everybody was treated like there was no night. And then the thing to me, which it's still on company film, but I have not told everybody where that company file is because we've changed over employees over the years. He decides to give me and two other people that were associated with the product a Crystal Eagle award in momentum of what has taken place there. And it was very kind of him. But now let's fast forward to I retired, though nobody really takes that terribly seriously. So I'm
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say I've seen you around on even little tiny projects here in
Yeah.
the Conejo Valley.
So I'm kind of semi-retired.
Yeah.
But when Rick threw this big retirement party, well, let me correct that. We had a dinner from our retreat. He turned it into a big retirement party. And there are some pretty famous people there, Maria Shriver and Danny Meyer from Shake Shack. And I was really at a pretty low pinnacle health-wise.
Mm.
And of course, Rick and I are Italian, and we were just crying all over the place. And he did something that's never been done before, and that is he dedicated the fountain at the Americana to me.
Oh.
awesome.
And, they had the plaque there that night. Now, I'm not the best employee. The man's busy. He's trying to do work, but I'm not done. So probably about 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago, I get on the phone and I call him. And he doesn't answer. So he's busy. So I called him again immediately. What's wrong? I'm at the Americana and do you have like a paper towel and some Windex? I need you to come here. There's finger marks all over my plaque. How do you think that phone call ended? F you, Lemmo.
Oh my
But
God.
Oh
it's
my
kind of a
gosh.
goofy relationship that we have. And he is more than kind and generous to me. He's a great guy. He's a great person. And in the kind of position that he's in, it's very hard for that to come out. He also and I can say this because I've been close to this situation, he gets a ton of criticism
Mm.
that has nothing to do with him. He's criticized for properties that are built in Thousand Oaks that he had nothing to do with.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost as if you ever watched It's a Wonderful Life, all of a sudden people want to treat him like Potter.
Mm.
Okay? Nothing can be further from the truth. He's kind, he's generous, he always puts his family first, his faith second, and his employees third, but he treats his employees like family.
That's awesome.
I've been with him when he's been joyous. I've been with him when we lost our chief legal counsel. First time ever that we brought a legal counsel in at the company. He died at 38 years old from
Oh my
a
gosh.
brain tumor. I was with
Ugh.
him when our CEO died at his desk.
Oh,
This is a man who is treated like he has no feelings,
yeah.
and he's one of the best humans I've ever met.
Wow.
So we should try and keep in mind, without preaching, that whatever you see in a person is not what they are.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
No.
Very
And he
true.
doesn't try and be anything different, but he enjoys his success. So
Yeah,
yes,
he
he has
should.
a plane, he has a boat, but the boat and the plane, well, he shared the plane with us very often on business and things like that. But he called me up one day and he said, listen, my ship's ready for charter and I'd like to give it first charter to an employee. I said, great, I've got the perfect guy. Michael Gazzano works very hard, made unbelievable efforts in every project, including Palisades Village. And he goes, screw you. I want you and Luann to have it. So
Oh.
here we are. We're allowed to bring 4 other people. All my kids are busy.
Oh.
Oh my gosh.
All my relatives back east
Oh.
are busy. So I take the lady that was my friend in Glendale, that is my friend in Glendale, that helped us get that project. And I take my attorney. That's another story for another day. However, it's 6 of us on this gigantic ship, 18 staff.
Oh
And
my
he
gosh.
would not allow us to pay for anything at all except our own food. He covered security. He covered the tip. He covered the fuel, everything. 11 days, absolutely magnificent. And
Wow.
he does that with people all the time. That's the kind of person he is. It's not about being an executive or anything. He's just a very, very good man.
That's amazing. What a
Oh, I
great
love that.
story.
Yeah.
And I know I ramble on and on,
No,
so
that
you
was-
got to get the hook when it's
No,
necessary.
that was
Yeah.
fantastic.
No,
This is a 5-hour show, right?
I think we budgeted or allotted 6 hours for you because
Oh
we knew.
man, that is so nice. And I'm supposed to pick up my granddaughter
Yeah.
at Agora's batting cage at 3:45. Let me tell you a story about old age. I've got wonderful daughters, and they're better than if I could have my own daughters. But they are falling into the trap that their husbands fall into, that we got to take care of him. So I'm picking up my granddaughter. She takes an aerial map and sends it to me of exactly where my granddaughter's going to be. I've been there before.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, probably before she was dating my son, but it's kind of cool.
That is.
I have got the most hilarious life. I mean, it's really nuts.
You do. You
Oh my
do.
Now, do you want me to tell you one quick Rotary story?
Sure.
This
Let's hear
is
it.
completely off topic,
I love it. Go.
but as you know, in Rotary,
Yep.
they have a demotion party when you're done as president.
Yes.
Now, David Massey handled mine. And,
Oh my gosh.
and
love
I have
him.
wanted David to be president for one reason only.
And he's
I'm
still
coming
not.
back to do
Yeah, that's
his
wild.
party.
Oh my gosh.
No matter what. If I
yes.
have to beg you on my knees, if I'm in a hospital bed, I want to do his party. Now, why would I have such an attitude? Well, for starters, because I was in the development business, our slogan was lend a hand. And his was fill my hand. Like I was getting a bribe. Okay. That's okay. Not too bad.
Oh my
But
gosh.
then we're 3/4 of the way through it. He gets to the mic and he goes, by the way, I would like everybody to stand up and join me because we have been able to get Rick's cousin Clem from Cleveland, Ohio. They're all clapping. Now, keep in the back of your mind every single time, because the Rotary has to beat a dead horse.
Yep.
Every time I started a meeting, they'd all go, hey, stand up. I am standing up. Okay? In walks this guy who is this tall. And he's a midget.
Oh my
And they're
gosh.
clapping and they're laughing. And every step he takes, I'm getting more mortified. I'm like, and Luann sees me, I'm losing it. And this guy comes up, and I turn away from the microphone at my seat. I said, I am so very sorry. Rotary is never this way. I've never seen them do anything like this. And he looks at me straight faced and says, hey, Mac, it's a job.
Oh my God. Oh,
All of a sudden, I didn't give
wow.
a shit anymore. If I was thinking, I would have gone, great, Shorty, but I didn't.
Oh.
But that is what Massey did to me. Now, I hear that they've gotten a little bit nicer and a little bit better, but this was unbelievable.
Oh my
That
God.
is crazy.
So the
I would
next time
never...
you see Massey,
Yeah.
put your arms around him, go up to his ear and go, I heard about Cousin Clem.
Cousin
I am.
Clem.
That's
oh my God.
a new low for the degenerates.
Oh,
That's what they call them.
absolutely. Absolutely.
I can't
But I'm
believe
part of the degenerates
David
too.
Massey has not been president. That guy gives.
So let me
he's
tell you why
He
he
so
hasn't
won't.
been president
He won't.
originally. He would not even consider it while his kids were growing up.
Yes.
Now his kids are grown.
But he
And-
still has to pay for college, he says.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
why.
I mean, I'm still paying for college. Not for me.
Yeah.
I
But
didn't have
that's
a
why he
student
says, he's like, because I have to bill hours. He won't run.
Oh.
loan. It's very difficult as an attorney, especially he took over his dad's practice. His dad's a wonderful guy. But towards the end, his dad was spending a lot more time on Rotary
Mm.
than he was because he was district
Yeah.
governor and all that kind of
Oh,
stuff,
yeah.
which I never understood that district thing at all. But
Mm.
No.
So
I don't want to get off your topic.
I just
so
stay
I
in my
apologize.
wheelhouse, the chili cook-off. That's
I
where
heard
I'm
that it was
happy.
perfect.
It
It
was
was.
perfect.
And that's got to be because of you.
I mean,
it is.
8th year is a charm.
So, well, wait a minute, though. I just heard her say something that bothers me a lot. I just stay in my wheelhouse. I really, and I'm not joking, I'm not flattering.
Yeah.
I really thought you were going to be president someday.
Of Rotary?
Yeah.
Not while I run the chili cook-off too, and I'm on the board of CRPD, and my kids are 11 and 14. And I run all the other
They're grown up.
companies. They
No,
can't drive yet.
but-
I need them to be able to drive
Okay,
themselves.
first of all, you're going to do a lot less work as president than you do as the chair of Chili Cook-Off. But also,
I know, but nobody wants to run the chili cook-off.
wait a minute, didn't you get a vice chair?
Yeah, but she says she quits when I do.
Oh.
There's multiple people who say they quit when I do. So
Okay,
I've
what's
got to
your
just
nationality?
basically European.
Okay, so you're not Italian or Jewish.
No, I am part
Okay,
Italian.
well, Italians and Jews have one thing in common. We know how to impart, whether it be through our church or synagogue or our parents, guilt. You should look at her and say, the entire Rotary banked on the fact that you were going to take this over.
Oh,
Yeah,
she doesn't want to take it over. She just wants to work with me. So I have to find someone.
well, let's get to that. You need to be president, and I'll tell you why.
Well, they have.
Please do.
We have some good presidents coming up.
Yeah, though we haven't had a really good, qualified, hot-looking person ever. But I will tell you this.
That's true.
Seriously, and I've been there long enough, the best presidents in the history of our Rotary have always been women.
Well, Michelle Nash is next, and then you have Victor Hayek.
I think Victor's a great president. Victor and I have become very close friends, and we started out really negative.
Oh,
But no, Victor is a good man. And
he's running for city council.
yes. And
Yeah.
and he's to the point, though, now where his kids have reached an age where he can do more.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because
yes.
when his kids were small, he did more back in Jersey. This is probably one of the most qualified people
Yeah, he's
that
really
you will ever
smart.
meet.
He's brilliant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's also a good guy. And, you know, I always go, it's hard to find a good guy. It really isn't. 99% of the people are fantastic. It's just the 1% that get all the attention.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'm curious, how did you and Rick Caruso link up, and then how did he get his start in real estate?
All right, so I'll tell you very quickly how we linked up, and then I'll tell you about how he got his start.
Yeah.
He and I linked up in the strangest of ways in that I was running a local radio station, which was at one time KNJO, and I turned it into KMLT, which was not K-Melt, though I did try and get Patty Melt business, but it was Light 92.7.
Okay.
And Light 92.7 was at 92.7, and the owner also had a radio station in Riverside that was at 92.7, and a radio station on Catalina Island, 92.7. We put together a deal where we synced up those signals because they physically had to be synced up, and showed up in the ratings because I hired the former program director at KISS. We brought in all the big-time disc jockeys that had been taken advantage of through the consolidation of radio. And I said, I'm going to make you a deal you can't refuse. They rolled their eyes. I said, I'm going to pay you all $10 an hour. Thought they were going to kill me. And then I explained how. I'm not going to go into the history of how I worked with this company in Dallas, but there was something that employed an audio vault. So you could record a week's worth of radio in 6 hours. But I paid them for 40 hours a week. So they got $400 for 6 hours worth of work.
Yeah.
We showed up in the ratings. Everything was great. Rick Caruso was building the Promenade, or in the process of it.
The Westlake?
Yes. And he
Okay.
needed some things, needed some introductions and some help. And he called me up one day and goes, I understand you might be able to help with this. I said, sure. And we kind of became, fast friends. And I will tell you a story after this about just how feeling he is. So we became friends about that. And the same thing happened with the Promenade. So I did a lot of work for him for free. During this time, because of what I did with the radio station, I was nominated for General Manager of the Year in the broadcast industry. And I came home and I said, well, if I lose, I've got a year to find a job. If I win, I've got 6 months. And my wife goes, what are you talking about? I go, radio's a young business. This is an old man's award. All the other people being nominated are pretty old farts. And now I am one. And anyway, I said to him, I said to Luann, I said, I really need to look into something else. And so I had a little too much to drink, and I called up Rick at like 10 o'clock at night. And he goes, what are you doing? And I go, I need to meet with you. He goes, well, let's do this tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like I was going to drive to Brentwood at, 10:30 at night. And we met for lunch. And I said, listen, I'm in the process of putting together a little business. And I'd like you to be my client. And he goes, all right. He says, listen, we just had a sandwich. Let me go wash my hands. He comes out of the bathroom. He goes, we're at the Marmalade.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And he goes, why do you want to worry about having to do payroll and all this stuff? Why don't you just come to work for me? I said, I don't understand what the hell you do. And he was so brilliant. He said, we're both in exactly the same business. Where do you come up with that? And he says, you in the radio business have 2 customers. You have a listener and you have an advertiser. It's no different than what I have. I have my tenant and I have their guest, which is my guest. Well, I'm thinking to myself, he's right. I didn't know what he was talking about. He's a good salesperson. Okay. So we get together and he says to me, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to make me a list of everything you don't understand about my business. Now, this will show you how long ago this was. Fax it to me
Oh my gosh.
on Sunday and we'll have dinner on Wednesday. He said, okay. Calls me up Sunday night. He goes, got your fax. Can't do dinner on Wednesday. And I'm thinking to myself, this is the oath. Heave-ho.
Yep.
But I can have dinner Monday night. We go to dinner Monday, takes me into this restaurant. I think his whole team was there, all 7 of them, maybe 8. And he goes, hey, you guys know Rick Lemmo. He's joining the firm. We didn't talk about anything.
Oh my gosh.
And,
like,
that's
okay.
how he and I got together, because we met during the opening events for the Promenade and during those things. Now, the one quick story I promised I would tell you about Rick. This will blow your mind. It blew mine. It still does. So Rick invites me to the opening of the Promenade and I send in my RSVP. No. And he calls me up and he goes, what the hell? This is the hottest ticket in town. You're not coming? I said, Rick, I can't. What do you mean you can't? I said, well, my dad's passed away and my mom is still not listening to the radio yet. And I'm bringing her in to watch the kids while Luann and I go on a cruise. The first ever cruise we went on, it was a mess for everybody but us, because the cruise is having terrible turbulence or whatever they call it on the waves. We're having a blast. I mean, I had a boat back east. It was no big deal. Anyway, I don't want to go off too much on the side. I'm going to be a real hit at the home. Anyway, Rick calls me up and he goes, your mom's coming in? I go, yeah. He goes, have your mom come with you to the opening. I said, that's not going to happen, Rick. She's still mourning, everything with my dad and all. And he goes, do I need to call your mom? I said, no. So he says, have her come. She'll sit at my table with me and my parents. And she did. and it was a transition for her. It was wonderful for us, but it shows you
Mm.
the kind of guy this is, that he's thinking about somebody else's mom going through a challenging time.
Yeah.
There were no seats. He created, well, obviously he could, it's his party. But, we had, which was very exciting for my mom, Steve Allen was there. And, he wrote the song, This Could Be the Start of Something Big. And so
Yeah.
saying that, and my mom's like in the front row, Steve Allen.
that's
Steve Allen to
awesome.
her was like Johnny Carson was to me. And like,
Yeah.
I don't know who is to you, because these guys are not funny anymore. But I know we're not going to get political. Sorry
Yeah.
about that. So, just a very, very feeling guy. But that's how I got together with him. And I think about my dad almost every year since he died. Well, I think about him all the time, but in regards to Caruso, because I was in the radio business, and my dad, you change jobs every 3 or 4 years. And my dad used to do my income tax, and he'd go, "What are you doing? Why don't you settle down?" I said, "Dad, I will never work in the same place for more than 3 years. That's just life. A, it's the radio business, and B, I don't want to do that."
Mm.
I'm with Rick now 27 and a half years. And it's weird the way life is, because I really enjoyed the fact, it was tough on my family, but we lived at 10 different cities in 14 years. I was having a blast in the radio
When you were
business.
doing radio?
Yeah.
Oh,
I was a
wow.
radio consultant, did 168 radio stations back east. I had a very fun life.
Yeah.
My wife did all the work. And today
Sounds familiar.
is a really unbelievably special day, because it's my 50th wedding anniversary.
Oh,
Oh,
that's right.
congratulations.
Thank you. And to show you what
Wow.
a great guy I am, guess where I'm taking my wife for dinner tonight?
Marmalade.
Where?
For the 6th time in 40 years, the Chamber Gala. So I'm taking her out. I'm not having to pay anything for dinner. I'm sitting at the Caruso table.
Oh my gosh.
Am I budget conscious or what?
You are.
I can't believe
She
she's
is a-
going.
She is a lucky woman.
Oh, yeah.
50 years.
Yeah.
Was she
I'm starting to
ex-
question her judgment.
Was she excited? Or does she know?
She just knows all the time.
It's like, this is Lemmo.
What are we going to... Yeah. Well, she's not as kind as that. This is the son of a gun I live with. But no, well, do you guys ever see Everybody Loves Raymond?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Okay. They've got a scene where they go out for their anniversary. And they're sitting in a restaurant. Now, I think it was only like the 15th or the 20th anniversary. They're sitting in a restaurant, and he goes, "Oh, this is good bread." She goes, "Yes, very good texture. I love the texture of the butter." "Oh," she says, "very spreadable." Let me tell you something. After 50 years, you talked about so much
Oh,
that now we start off even our dinners at home that way. Okay. And it's just the two of us.
Yeah.
So, she'll have a good time tonight.
No, it's so true. I mean, I have to say that's why us working together actually gives us more to talk about,
mhm.
because you can, when I was just in real estate and he was just a firefighter, it was like we didn't have a ton to talk about. And now that we have the companies, not that it's always the most exciting conversation, because sometimes it's very stressful, but it does give you, it's like having more children and talking about them. That's the way I look at our
It's
business.
not as much fun on the front side, but I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, we just
But
had a
you said
conversation.
something I can't believe. I don't want to embarrass you on your own show. I've never heard somebody say, "just a firefighter."
I keyed in on that too.
Because I got to tell you something, okay? I'm lucky. You're not.
Oh
You
my
have to
gosh.
have the worry and the concern and the stress of his job. I look at it a different way, and all I say is, thank God for the firefighter.
I have to
Because
downplay
they stop me
it.
from worrying. No, I know.
Yeah,
they're
you have
probably-
to downplay it as
survive.
a
I agree.
spouse. So
I
that
agree.
yeah, you can't think about, every day he goes to the fire station, he could fall through a roof and die. Like, you can't think about that.
Can you die from falling through the roof?
You can.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
like a building collapses on him or something. So it's like you could get, shot, like different things. Like, so you have to you downplay it as a spouse of like, oh, okay, you're just going to work.
I used
Like
to be
you're
very,
just a firefighter.
I used to be very angry with the firefighters.
Why?
Well, you probably don't do this in Oxnard, but half naked, wearing nothing more than gym shorts, they're going through the neighborhood. And all of
Yeah.
a sudden, the most of us in that neighborhood are like, "Why are you looking out the blinds now? Come in here."
That's so funny. There was a guy, we were at a soccer tournament, and there was a guy running with his shirt off, and he was in good shape. And when the dad goes, "Hey, my wife is right here." And I said, My husband looks just like that.
Yeah.
So it's just another day
Now
for
that's
me.
a great comeback.
Yeah.
It's another
I
day in
was-
paradise for Marissa.
It was so
Yeah.
funny. They just looked at me. I'm like, that's what my husband looks like anyways.
Well, he does, and
Oh
it
my
bothers the
gosh.
hell out of me. But, you've got a newer model than I have. I'm still driving a DeSoto here.
Oh
my
my
gosh.
gosh. So how did you, how did he first get into
So how he
real
got into
Yeah.
business was very interesting. He, with the urging of his dad, went to law school. And he went to Pepperdine Law, which is now Caruso Law.
She's a Pepperdine grad.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you heard of it?
Grazidio Business School.
Oh, wow. I
Yeah.
love that place.
Yeah.
In fact, Sam Lagana was a very good friend of mine from there, and a couple of presidents ago. What's your degree in business? What type of business?
Business management. Yeah.
That's very
BSM,
good.
business-
So does she just have to do the bills and everything at home?
She does all.
I do
See?
everything.
That's
All-
great.
Anything financial, I do. Yeah.
But it's
Mhm.
easier for you going to Gracia Dio. I mean, now you know everything you need to know.
Pretty much. Yeah.
That's great. So anyway, he goes to Pepperdine Law. He goes into law. He's working for one of the biggest firms in the country, and he hates it every day.
Mm.
In fact, the joke he makes is the law firm went out of business, and it was probably because of me. Now, they were in New York. He was here. But he goes to Tina, and he says, I don't want to do this.
Mm.
I want to be on the other side of the desk. So they start out very small with a property. Keeping in mind that at 5 years old, his dad used to take him in. As they looked out over the city, he always used to say, I want to own those buildings. How ironic. Anyway, he decides to go into the business, and his very first center was in Encino. He bought a property that was a hole in the ground filled with water because a developer stopped along the way. Could not handle the neighbors.
Oh.
And people say, tell me about Caruso's brand. Well, it's a multifaceted brand that works together, and I don't believe you can be ultimately successful unless your brand is virtually identical in a multifaceted way. What I mean by that is, first of all, it begins and continues forever and ever with the community. It has to. And it has to be a respectful, not a glad hand. Like, oh, yeah, we'll plant a tree for you in your honor. No,
Yeah.
that isn't going to work.
Right.
You go to the community, and on one hand, I think I perfected this a little, but he perfected it first. And he was part of teaching me. And that was, we go to the community with a white piece of paper. And we say, listen, it's not important what we're planning on doing yet because we're going to adjust it. Let's see everything you want. That doesn't mean you're going to get everything you want. Just means we want to know what's important to you.
So he would reach out.
So we would do that. He did it before me. We did it, together, and then he was out. I didn't lay him off or anything like that. I still had to report to him. But we would take this white piece of paper, start with a blank piece of paper. Tell us what it is that you want. And write down every little thing. There was no crazy ideas.
Wow.
There were crazy ideas, but we wouldn't judge them
Right.
that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we would select, shockingly, 60 to 70% was what was necessary to build anything.
Wow.
But nothing like what they had heard of before. Because every developer comes to town and goes, we're going to do this and we're going to do this. Okay.
Yeah.
This is a little encapsulated in the way I used to start every one of my city council speeches. And with one of your relatives, I even started this speech at the planning commission. I said, what aggravates me most about my city is for 25 years I'm in the radio business, not one of you people called me a broadcaster. All of a sudden I go to work for Rick Caruso and I'm a dirty developer. How short-sighted are you?
Yeah.
Now, is it your brother or your
Yeah,
brother-in-law?
it's
Your
my
brother
brother.
didn't take it too well.
Nelson.
He doesn't take criticism well.
No.
But then
No.
again,
He's
neither do
he's
us
a
Italians.
bus.
He's a bus. Well, you're a bus.
Yep. I'm a bus.
She's
Yeah.
You're different. You're
I
not
think
the
it's
same.
different when you're 6'4" and 300 pounds. You feel like you don't have to.
Well,
take
see, I was
criticism.
close because I was 5'7", and before on the Zep bound, I think I was 255 pounds. So I was kind of close. I was just short for my
Yeah.
weight.
Yeah.
Anyway, so after we do the whiteboard, We boil it down. We come back. And again, listen, this is what we heard from you. We want you to check off what we're saying that you didn't say. Now they're still involved. The next time back, we got some drawings. You want to take a look at them? Oh, everybody loves looking at drawings. I don't really know what it is, but even since I was young, and young people I know, even if they're not in the real estate business, seeing the drawing of a site plan or seeing the drawings of buildings, not the finished architecture, just the guesswork drawing of buildings is kind of fun to look at.
Yeah.
Okay. And so they're all pretty open. Even the people that were negative would say something like, well, we don't really need this, but I like that. Okay, fine. Then we begin the request. Listen, if we're doing what you like, we need your support. And I would joke and say, and if you don't like it, maybe stay home then. But I did it in a non-threatening way.
I love that.
Yeah.
And those meetings were fun. Now, I'm doing a ton of them. And yes, I did show up with donuts or coffee, or we didn't want whatever home. And my thing was, we're doing meetings of 2 people, 4 people,
Oh, wow.
or 20 people at someone's house. It wasn't until the Palisades when Rick decided we're going to do a big community meeting that we had 1,600
Oh my gosh.
people. So we had Palisades High School filled up and the anti-building, which had about 400 seats in it with TVs, and about 150 people that were turned away because they won't RSVP anyway. Everybody who RSVP'd got in. And so then we had to do a second night. And there we had probably 1,000 people, which was more manageable. And Rick, when I'm out with Rick, okay, as far as I'm concerned, whether he likes it or not, he's the star of the show. I will seldom, if ever, take the mic unless it is to have a person ask a question. So what am I doing? Making sure we have enough ice cream bars, making sure there's food everywhere, talking to the caterer and saying, look at that shit. No one's eating that shit. So don't put it out anymore. Let's get more of the other stuff. Well, where am I going to get it? Go get it at a restaurant. Or I had one guy, he was serving sandwiches. He ran out of sandwiches, run to Subway. Buy everything they have, tell them to close. So we got like 700 sandwiches in an hour and 15 minutes. It wasn't bad. I was also responsible for feeding all of our workers the last 4 weeks on every job. I'm not talking about the employees of Caruso. They would come by and grab some food every once in a while. I'm talking about every one of our workmen, from electricians to cement people, everybody for 4 weeks. Now, initially, they only got dinner. Then they got lunch and dinner. Then I would give them a mid-morning something, like at the Grove, we got them burritos. And everything was bought from merchants on site there in Farmers Market. This all comes from a caring of Caruso.
Yeah.
And what do these guys do? They didn't necessarily stop bringing their lunch. They just ate it earlier, and then they had our lunch. It was great. And there was a former Rotarian that I used when we built the Americana. She used to own Mama Rita's. And because of her health and everything, she had to drop out of Rotary. But she and her team would come. They'd prepare their catered foods and bring it out to the Americana and keep everything warm. It was wonderful. Everything, it was the hardest work I've ever done. And the first year I was with Rick, he would always call me up. I was coaching. I coach a lot. And I was coaching, and he would go, what are you doing? I said, I'm coaching my son. He goes, you got 1 minute? I go, yeah. Do you miss radio? If you miss radio, we'll just go buy a radio station. I mean, a small one. And I said, no, it's very odd.
Oh.
I thought, since the time I was a little boy, I wanted to be in radio. I thought I would miss it more.
Yeah.
But I didn't. And now, I'm doing these radio shows because I can put together a studio, nothing like this. I mean, if you were to look and see my office, first of all, my office is always a mess, but I have a little corner aside where I've got nothing as good as this, but it's this foam stuff. And I use Audacity and make my shows, and I pay for my music off of YouTube, and I pay rights on the music, even though I'm not selling it to anybody. And I don't really miss radio, but it's fun that I can still do it, because behind the mic, nobody knows what you look like and nobody knows how old you are.
Yeah.
And that, when I was a radio consultant, was one of the biggest things that we had to fight people when they didn't listen to it. owners would say, let's put pictures of all my DJs in the newspaper in an ad. Okay, well, let me give you a guarantee. That girl that's on in the morning, every guy is in love with her. And when they see her picture, they ain't in love with her.
Oh.
She's got the same thing people told me I had. She had a great face for radio, number one. Number two, it was so unbelievable ridiculous. But the minute we promoted a particular announcer, within 90 days, they got a job at a radio station in a bigger market.
Oh.
So it's like, you know what? Let's go back to what the basics are in the radio
Yeah.
business. And there it is. They're listening for the music, not the announcer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's so I don't know how I got on that tangent. So I'm sorry.
So, I mean, I never thought like of going about it that way, where you're inviting the community and like giving their ideas. Do other developers do that, or
We do that
did
for
you?
CRPD.
You do?
Yeah, actually.
Well, CRPD does that. And I think
we're
what
in the middle of it. I'm
originally-
getting lots of emails right at the moment.
Yeah. What originally drove it, I think, was Jim's attitude. I've known Jim since he was an attorney for the city.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, first of all, I think I don't want to say that other developers didn't think of that, because I believe most of the developers are good and they did think of it, but they didn't know how. And I think their attitudes would normally come down to, look, this is what we know how to do. Let's not leave our lane. Where Rick's lane was, I know how to do this. I don't know how to do the other stuff, so I'm going to hire the very best contractors or whatever to do those things. Now,
Yeah.
so that's one reason why I don't think other developers did it with any regularity. I do think that a lot of people did learn from the Caruso way, and I happen to know for a fact that with me or without me, city staff would say to other developers, look at what Caruso did. You got to do it the same way. Also, we constantly get feedback from the community. If you look at the fountain between Marmalade and Farfalla,
Yeah.
those people on that plaque were the first people ever against any development. And one of them, who is just unbelievable, is a woman by the name of Kathy Schutz. There would be no promenade without her. She came up with two ridiculously goofy ideas that caused Caruso to do something very expensive. And that was to convince the president of Bristol Farms and the president of Barnes & Noble to send real estate people out and take a helicopter paid for by Rick to look at the whole area. Because when they said, we want a Bristol Farms and we want a Barnes & Noble, Rick said, okay, I'm going to do everything possible, but I'm telling you, it's not going to happen here. And yet he made it happen.
It happened, yeah.
Okay, those are direct community requests. Now, can you give the community everything they asked for? No, because some people think of our community like Mayberry, and some people think of our community like Ventura, or maybe even Santa Barbara. Nobody thinks of it as the Valley, though we're all turning into the Valley all of a sudden.
I know.
We're not turning into the Valley.
Okay, I
trust
have
me.
a question about why
Anything.
didn't Caruso run again for mayor of LA? I have been wondering this, and I'm like, oh, we're having Rick. I really want to know.
Rick is one of my best friends in the world and like a brother. So I'm not going to give you what I think is more short and factual answer. But I think that Rick, well, suffice it to say that without too many conspiracy theories, I will tell you that Rick was elected the mayor of Los Angeles. And after 8 days, Rick was mysteriously beaten in Los Angeles by as many votes as he was ahead. It wasn't even a good fake. And I think he believed that he could never recover from losing to that type of machine again. That's my personal opinion. Also, I think he was seriously considering a run for governor.
Oh, interesting.
However, all that being said, I'm going to say that Rick is pretty good at calculating. He totally miscalculated, I think. He heard what he thought, or he heard what he wanted to hear from his family. And as he got close, he heard what they were really saying. He is a family guy. One of the things I sort of pummeled him with over and over again is, Rick, you're finally a grandfather. You have a child who's almost 1 year old. Start being a grandpa. Forget all this other crap. Now, I will also tell you, as a friend, I've said this to him. I don't think he'd like it being on a podcast, but he never prepared for anything other than work. He really didn't. I mean, when we would go to a charity golf tournament, it was hell to be with him. You know why?
Why?
Because the employees we paid for to be serious behind us, when they got to the green, there were 75 golf balls that he dumped on the green. They couldn't even tell which one was theirs. Or when we would leave after having the carts put on our golf carts, he undid the strap. So the minute you hit the gas.
Oh, just messing with them.
Yeah.
Oh, talk about a fire department. Oh my gosh, we had a fire department golf tournament. Every hole, you're like not ready for it in the beginning, and then the guys unstrap the damn bags.
See, I love that.
Oh my God.
My whole life is basically a joke.
That, and let me tell you this, we Los Robles golf course, not allowed back because our firefighters decided to drink heavily, do all the pranks, and then decided to leave a golf cart on one of the greens. They thought that was a good idea.
That's kind of a badge of honor, isn't it?
Oh my God.
How could anybody in the city refuse firefighters? Can I talk to somebody?
Yeah.
I'll get you back on
guy.
that. Who makes that decision nowadays?
Who does?
Did you know who his boss is?
No.
Drew. No matter what, it's
Yeah,
True.
it's always Drew because he's the city manager.
We can make that happen.
Oh my gosh, that's too
So
funny.
I want to spend a little time
Yes, I'm sorry.
on relationships, leadership, and because this is something that you've clearly mastered, in my opinion, over time. And it seems like at the highest level that relationships drive everything. Opportunities, deals, trust. And I'd love to understand how you built that and what advice you would give to people trying to do the same. Because you're the master of relationships.
Okay, so I don't want to come on a show the very first time and disagree with the host, but I will tell you that
Please do.
I think what helps solidify relationships is never mastering it. It is, in my humble opinion, an evolution that takes place. I think the single most important thing is the goal can't be that you're trying to accomplish anything other than building a relationship. I had some decent relationships with people that would never speak for and often speak against almost every project I was involved with in Glendale or someplace else. But they knew that when I asked a question about someone's health and their family and found out it was a negative response, that I was set back and there was a tear in my eye almost instantly because it was evolving into a real relationship. Okay. And that's what made my job the hardest with Rick, because there's no doubt he's my friend, a very close friend, but he's the boss. And I mean, I will tell you whenever we have time about some other things that he did. But so the first thing is, I don't believe a relationship is ever mastered. And I think I have fairly decent proof in a very strange way. And I hope you two guys privately would say the same thing. I'm married 50 years. I don't feel like I have that relationship mastered per se. And there's a lot of easy jokes that I can tell from that are pretty funny, but I don't make that, because in order to master a relationship, you have to have an assumption. And so I don't believe that. That's number one. Number two, I think relationships are possibly the most important thing in our life because they're the only thing we get involved with that touches every segment of our life. Okay. I've always been my kids' parents, but in my mind, I've also cared about the relationship. In other words, I wasn't one of those parents who go, "Hey, I want to be your pal." No, I know I'm your father, but I I care deeply about the relationship.
Yeah.
And a little sort of sample of that is I've said the same thing to their wives when they got engaged or on their wedding day. And that is, listen, you got to understand something. While he's my son, all three of us, we're equal now. You're my daughter. Now, I was forced to do that a little bit with my son's first wife because she came from Connecticut and her parents were very worried. They really didn't want her living in California and all that. And I
Oh.
said, don't worry about it. Treat her like she's my daughter. So I think that the other thing you got to be prepared for, it's not easy, especially if it's part of your job or if it's work, is that a relationship is very hard work.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't care how sweet her personality is or how beautiful she is. I don't care. I don't care how hard you work or how, in what shape you're in. Some way, somehow, that relationship has worked. And
Oh, yeah.
I think what makes it even harder work is now let's throw some people into that relationship
Yeah.
that are not really worried about relationships right now.
No.
Your kids.
Yep.
Mhm.
Or let's throw some in-laws in there. Now, I was the first person to, quote unquote, according to my dad, marry outside my race. I married a Slovenian.
Mm.
Everybody else in the family before me only married Italians, except being the oldest in the family. Everybody, all 6 of them after me, married outside their race.
Look what you started.
They married, yeah. And they married anything from Polish to Jewish to, actually 2 of them married Jewish fellas. And one of them married a guy from an English family. He's from America. But their sense of humor is tough to catch on to. Okay. Anyway, don't need to go there.
Yeah.
So I think that the relationship is something that doesn't happen ever. It becomes better
Yeah.
or it becomes worse. However, it never becomes worse if there's deep attention and no ultimatums. I do not care anywhere what my friend's political background is. Very close friends of our family went a little ape shit the first time that Trump was in office. It degenerated into a rather serious argument where we didn't speak for 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
And about 3 years ago, they showed up at the promenade tree lighting, and they came over just to say hi. And I said, do you guys have any plans tonight? They said, no, we're getting out of the way here. I said, no. Take these 2 seats. And now we see each other once a month,
Oh, that's great.
back like the old days. They still bitch at me because I'm the only person that doesn't play euchre right. And because I have no memory. The people at the home, I beat them all the time. So from a relationship,
Yeah.
there's the change thing. And then last, but certainly not least, you have to believe that you have to believe that you're going to do what you say you're going to do with them, and that the project is going to be beneficial to the community, not just and if all the communities I've been in, the only one that I think has been extraordinarily hard is anything in Thousand Oaks, because the level
great.
of trust in this community
Yeah.
has gone south.
hmm
And that is, as I'm sure you know, because you have to sit at a dais, if somebody says something enough times, even though it's dishonest, a lie becomes the truth.
Mm.
Yeah.
And so now we hear what I used to hear all the time on the traffic commission for 16 years is, you're just waiting for some little kid to get killed. I got to tell you, I've never met anybody waiting for some little kid to get killed.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But now all 5 of us are. That's number 1. Or number 2, we're becoming the San Fernando Valley. The only people who I think really, truly have a right to say that
Yeah.
is somebody who's never been to the San Fernando Valley. Maybe they read an article, maybe they saw a magazine. But if you've been to the San Fernando Valley, there is nothing about us that way.
We're not wide enough.
No.
I always say that to people. I'm like, we literally can't. We have these mountains. I don't know if you notice, but they inhibit us from becoming the valley. Like there's no way for that to happen. And I'm like, this is so funny that you're comparing one road
Yes.
to multiple blocks. I mean, how wide is the valley? How many blocks is it? I mean,
The San Fernando Valley?
it got 50 blocks.
At least 50 blocks. Goes all the way to Studio City.
Yeah. I'm like, how could we ever become that?
There's also one other little thing, and this is a big thing because it's hard. You got to work at it all the time, and I'm mediocre on my best day. You have to be as unselfish as possible in every relationship, and that's hard to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, the people that believe it's 50-50 when you get married, they're imbeciles.
Yeah.
Yep.
No.
I don't remember a day when it was 50-50. I remember a day when it was 75-25 with my wife doing 75. I remember a day when it might have been 40-60 and my wife was doing 60.
Yeah.
I never remember 50-50. And
Yeah.
it's the same thing with relationships. And why I bring that up as a very integral part is why you have to be selfish is you've got to be prepared to hear in work, to hear the opposite of what you'd like to be able to do.
Right.
And I will tell you that of all the emotions, when you're selfish, I think that one shows the most in any situation.
Yeah.
And I would say that while I didn't have to learn all that from Rick Caruso, and I learned a lot of that from my parents, I think he was the first person I saw that really perfected that.
Wow.
Because he always puts somebody else first.
Yeah.
I don't know who's bugging me here, but I'm sure it's like probably Skechers came out with a new shoe for old people.
That's great. That's great advice. And I mean, all the facets that you hit it's so true. And I mean, any relationship that I've built and sustained, I mean, all those qualities are part of that, trust, honesty, and that you're not in it just for what you could get from it.
All right, so let me say something please don't take offense to this, but you're a little luckier than, say, Marissa and I, and I'll explain why, okay? First of all, based upon your job,
Mhm.
particularly if you show up in uniform or you're coming to or from a fire, there is a small bit of instantaneous trust.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's should be larger, but there's an instantaneous piece of gratitude. And last but not least, your job, which it's quite shameful to refer to it as a job, begins with not being selfish. So you have, I would even go so far as to say, if you get around to the conversation that you are a firefighter, I think you have a great edge in any relationship. Probably not if you were dating, because they all know what you firefighters are like. But then again, you take off your shirt and jog, and that takes care of helping you there. But my bottom line is, I do think that you're living people in the service, and for me, even though the nation seems to be trying to be ruining it, police officers, they have that little bit of an edge, because trust can sometimes take years to build up if you're a real estate developer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Real estate, when we were younger, there was an article that came out. I think it was either like Forbes or Time, and it was like the top ranking for jobs. And I was like, firefighters, like most love number one. And then real estate agent was like down here. I'm like, we balance each other.
You do, but let me ask you, did you go a little further to see where the hell developers were? Because in some of them rated below Satan's job.
I remember when I first got into real estate, remember this? I wouldn't say ashamed, but I started in residential cold calling, and I wouldn't say that I was a firefighter because what I thought my insecurity was, oh, well, he's a firefighter. He's not a real estate agent or investor. And I learned over the years, especially now doing syndications and raising money, that's one of the first things I say, because you're, like you said, it does give almost an automatic level.
And that's what I would always say to him. I'm like, you're a veteran who became a firefighter. I'm like, you served our country. Like, he'd be like, oh, I didn't go to college. I'm like, I
didn't go to college either.
You went to the Air Force.
I was a professional dropout.
I'm like, you went in the Air Force at 19, I'm like, and then you became a firefighter.
And you could have lost your life at 19.
Yes. And I'm like, not many people can say that.
Why did you still delve into losing your life after you got out of the Air Force and became a firefighter? I mean, I don't know how dangerous it is in Oxnard, but I also know that we have these things where you guys cooperate with one another and you do brush fires and you do massive apartment fires. Whatever. it's not my show, but what propels a person who at 19 cared enough to defend the country? Now, the good news was at least you weren't coming during Vietnam because the country was assholes then. It was kind of fun watching the girls burn their bras, but that was about it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yet after serving, and I'm hoping that when you got back from service, you realized a different country than the people did from Vietnam. But what made you go into a life again where at some day, when you got to the area with Marissa of getting ready to pop the question, you had to think about, is one of her considerations going to be the risk of my job?
I don't think I've ever considered that.
Well, we got to teach him something about relationship building here. He was just going with the t-shirt off and the shorts. God bless you.
My grandpa.
He's like, you see these guns? Sun's out, guns out. Let's go, lady.
Okay, and you know what? How could she help us?
I mean, it was hard.
But to answer your question, my grandfather was a firefighter. My dad was a firefighter. So I always had that awareness. And
how was their job?
How was it?
As far as did either of them have serious injury, or God forbid death based upon their job?
No. But some of the stories my grandfather would tell me.
Yeah, he was an LA City firefighter before segregation and all of that.
How old are you?
I'm
44. Well, 43.
43.
Okay, so I've got one son older than you and one that's a year younger. But
yeah.
Here's my question for you. What happened in your gut and your heart when you saw, because you were an adult, when you saw what happened on 9/11?
That when I was actually enlisted, waiting on my date to go to boot camp, and it made me want to go even sooner.
Okay, I understand the service part. I do understand going to the service part.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's face it, you were being an American and you wanted to get your pound of flesh back.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the phrase that I think I've heard most often is that firefighters run towards the problem, not away. And we had hundreds of firefighters do that. What went through your gut and your heart knowing that? You said to yourself, when I'm done with this, I want to be a firefighter?
Yeah.
See, that's an extraordinary individual. And you know what? That's why I think that people in that line of work do deserve that freebie trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to prove every day that I can be trusted.
Yeah.
You do. Or you already did. Let's put it this way.
Yeah.
Okay? Not to mention the fact the test for becoming a firefighter sucks.
It does.
I don't like tests.
Yeah.
But I don't mind a stand-up exam. I just don't want to write anything.
Yeah.
Okay? I would never do that. That's a test I could say, I can tell you right now, I can flunk. Okay.
It's funny. It's funny to me with him being a firefighter, because he gets so stressed out about our real estate transactions. And I'm like, yet it doesn't stress you out to run into a burning building?
It's unbelievable.
And he's like, no. He's like, firefighting is not anywhere near like as stressful as being in real estate. I'm like,
I don't understand that.
What? Me either. I'm like,
I don't know of any real estate agent
like
that's ever, and I'm not being funny, okay? I don't know of any real estate agent that lost their life.
No.
Because they were a real estate agent. But I do know of firefighters and police in LA that were shot from behind while doing a fire in Watts.
Yep.
I know a lot about Watts because that's where I did a lot of volunteer stuff for Rick. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think you're absolutely right.
I know.
I figured this out.
He'll be like, so like, oh, this and that. And like, how's this deal going? And this, and I'm like, how are you so stressed out about this? But yet you go to the fire station and it's like he's like, yeah, that's just like
that
relaxing.
Makes no sense to me.
It's relaxing for him to go to the fire station. It's stressful to come to real estate.
Because I care so much about this deal that we raise money from other people. And I just, with everything, all my heart, I want it to go well and succeed. And that's why that stresses me out.
I have to say, I kind of think that's kind of admirable, but I don't want to start any trouble at your house. But it would seem to me that with a wife and kids, because when you're younger, it's about yourself, right? It's like, if I die tomorrow, my parents will get over it. But there are people that are part of what has become what used to be just the Danny Lambert puzzle of a piece. They're all part of it. That would stress me out.
Well, I just
That-
don't think about it. And I think I go, it's
Then
not
you
gonna
got to stop thinking
it's
about the
not
real estate
gonna
because it's going
happen
to give you an
me.
ulcer.
I know, that's what I
know.
say to him.
Yeah.
I'm like, it
Um,
is what it is. When people invest with you, as long as you are doing everything to your best ability, it's an investment. They know there's risk associated with it. So, I mean, there's things we can't control. We can't control right now that there's inflationary pressures on interest rates that were not projected.
And I'm not even a real estate agent, and I'm going through it right now with my one client in the apartment building.
Yeah.
Because my pro forma was done at 4.5% to 5%.
Yep.
That pro forma cannot work even at 6%, let alone 7%.
Wow.
Yeah.
And keeping in mind that you do have to get permanent financing within a year after completion.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and I don't know where it's going to go. I mean, I can tell you this. I'm not a financial expert or predictor. I'd be shocked if you see it approach 5 again.
What do you?
And here's why I think
Oh,
that.
I agree. I just had this conversation yesterday with a lender.
All right. Now, you guys weren't young when I was young, but let me give you why I'm so positive of it. Banks do a lot more now than they did when I was growing up. When I was growing up, they had savings accounts, mortgages, checking accounts. How could they stay in business? Because they would pay you 4%, 3.5%, maybe 4.5% in a Christmas club. They would charge you 5 or 5.5% on the loan of your house. And they were of the size that 1 to 1.5% was enough. They had less government regulation. They had a desire not to go out of the banking business. We went through a time where they were paying you 6% on savings or a CD, long-term CD, and they were charging you 4 or 3.5 or 1 3/4 on a home equity loan. Okay.
Yeah.
And that doesn't work, but they didn't care. The reason they didn't care is they got into the insurance business. They got into the stocks and bonds business. They got into business that banking had nothing to do with. They got into the government business. Now, I'm friends with the Mazzillo family, but the government screwed over Mozilla and Countrywide. They did what they were asked and pressured to do. And then when the government got caught, they turned and went the other way. Angelo Mazzillo is a wonderful man. He put more people in homes than anybody in the history of the United States, period. Now, because of what they did with interest rates, was it tough for them to stay in those homes? Yes, but it wasn't driven by him. It was driven by Fannie Mae. And it was definitely driven by the president of the United States at the time, because that was their charge. We're going to put more people in homes. It's wrong that home ownership is the sole big goal in this country. And the 35-year-old of today doesn't feel that same way. Now, might they when they're 45 or 50?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yep.
Okay. But it's the same thing with the Boulevard. Okay. We in radio used to have a thing where you do not move your radio station with your audience. Your radio station is like a window, and you deal with audience as they move through it. That's the Boulevard. Because I got to tell you right now, people don't want to hear this, and hopefully our city council gets it. If they don't do what they said they were going to do already, they've already approved the general plan amendments. If they don't do what they said they're going to do on the Boulevard, I will guarantee you that even with the new buildings, Amgen has no problem shuttering them, selling them for $1 per square foot, and moving to Europe because they've already opened in Europe. They've chosen to be here. They want to be here. They're not going to put up with the crap when their employees say, there's no place to go out here. There's no place to live here. And then you've got these old geezers that are my age saying, we don't want the traffic on the Boulevard. Yet you're bitching every day about the traffic on the 101 as you try and go to the Camarillo outlets. Give people an alternative to spend some of their money right here. There is literally nothing bad about what they want to do on the Boulevard. And it's the only thing to save our city. Plus, we should also remember one other thing. We live in the state of California. They don't give a shit about us. Guess where, if we don't meet the numbers, guess where they can come in, take over the land, and build affordable housing?
Anywhere that you put the high density.
In the open space.
Oh.
The state government doesn't give it. They're not going to care where you put high density. They don't care about high density because you know what? They're allowed to do whatever they want. And that threat has been made at least once that I'm aware of. Now,
Wow.
will they do it? I don't know. The state's broke.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
why not just take care of ourselves?
Yeah.
I mean, Kinsey Flame and others, and I'm working as well to get as many people as possible to the Planning Commission. I believe it's the 18th.
My sister's on it.
Your sister's on the Planning Commission.
Uh-huh.
Which
Kara
one?
Buss. We never change our names.
I didn't realize. So let me ask you a
So
question.
Nelson was on
Is
it.
she for it or against? Is she Nelson or is she you?
Kara, no, Kara, but the thing is, she's like, they're all coming to the Planning Commission. She's like, we don't really have. She's like, it's hilarious because we don't really have anything to do with it. It's not even like on their agenda. They were saying
It's not on the agenda for Monday night, the 18th?
she's saying that it has to. She's like, we can't stop it.
Oh,
She's
no,
like,
no,
they're
no,
coming to talk to us, but we have no ability to do anything about it.
Well, they do. Now, wait a minute. They cannot stop it. And the
No.
reason they cannot stop it, though, is the appellate process.
Yeah, they're like, she's
However,
saying the city
this-
council is the one who has
this,
to go.
This
vote on
isn't
it.
like the normal Planning Commission thing. You only can go to council if you're appealing a no, but not with this. Because this is general plan related, it does have to go there. Okay? But when it goes to council,
Yeah.
the Planning Commission being impacted by the public can say, well, we want them to think about this and we want them to think about this when it goes to council. The last thing we need to do is put any more barriers in front of this.
That's okay. So
I hope they shuffle the papers.
So she and I
send
were
it on.
talking about this like last week, and she was saying, because then she said, is Caruso going to be building supposedly the 7-story hotel?
Absolutely, positively, guaranteed no.
Okay, because she's like, people are then saying that Caruso's behind, and I'm like, I said, from my
Okay.
understanding, he's only looking to build the apartment building behind, and is not going to be involved in the development of
First
the
of all,
actual.
he already has been entitled to build the apartment building
Yeah.
behind the lakes. There is nothing else.
Okay, that's
And
what I thought.
frankly, Caruso would never's a long time, ever build a hotel that is not a luxury property.
Yeah.
You do not put a luxury property in city center or in city hall.
No.
Okay, that's number one. Number
Yeah.
two, you can say what you want about every other developer, but only one has one property that has not been as successful as all the rest. Rick Caruso. And why? Because Ed Masry and City Council went and redesigned the lakes. Period. End of story. That's the way it is. So I can tell you this. I'm not a betting man, but I would bet my house, even if we weren't in a home, that Rick Caruso is not doing anything with this plan.
That's
But
what,
he is the easiest whipping boy we've got.
well, because
That's
we have the
wild.
family text of like, so I've got Nelson, Kara, and then me and my mom on it, and then she's like, yeah, someone's saying that Caruso's behind, and I was like, I haven't heard anything about him being involved in that.
I think what I would do is this. Sometimes
But
you're
no, I
ahead
don't
of the
think
game
she's
when you're
against it.
asking people questions. And so what I would say to them is, A, who is saying this? Because if it is not Rick Caruso himself,
Right.
it is not even a consideration. Now, I will tell you this. I love this city very, very much. I feel fortunate to have lived here. I moved here because Cleveland was in such a political mess that our mayor took great pleasure in putting us in bankruptcy during the 6 o'clock news on ABC and he was the youngest mayor in the United States at the time, and he screwed up everything. Okay? But the mayor and the city council fought every day because the mayor thought he was running the show, and the president of city council, because that's the form of government that was, thought he was running the show. And they were both running the city into the ground. So what I would tell everybody here is that until you hear Rick Caruso say, I'd like to do it. Now let's talk about a safeguard. Did you know that Rick Caruso or anybody else cannot do it yet? The first thing that's going to happen is they're going to create an RFP and send it out to developers, just
Right.
like they did for the Americana, just like they did for because that's the rule with the city property.
Right.
Okay. That's number one. Number two, they have to have the developers answer that. Immediately you will find out who is interested. But remember, the developer didn't set the rules. The city set the rules.
Mm.
These people are wringing their hands about nothing. And last but not least, I cannot stand the lies. If you go on that, I don't want to get sued. If you go on what I refer to quite often as next door, but it's next door.
Yeah.
They're all going. I know Caruso's doing this. I know Caruso is behind this. I know there is going to be 7-story buildings. We don't need any more hotels in Thousand Oaks.
No.
These people know all there is to know about everything. I'm in that business, or was in that business. I don't know any of that crap.
Yeah.
Well, it cracks me
Okay,
up.
plus, wait a minute. They say one other thing. This
Yeah.
is what sends me over the edge. This is the first we're hearing about this. Really, it was a
Yes.
3.5-year process.
Yes,
where
that
we
is what I
all
was
went
going to
and put
say.
sticky notes
Yes.
on a board with the city. What do you
Yep.
mean this is the first you're hearing about this?
I was like, I have seen the downtown project now presented like 5 different times. They came to Rotary twice. I'm like, where do you people live? Like in a dark hole where you don't notice that we've been going over and redoing the general plan?
Well, if you look
Yeah.
at next door,
Yeah.
they do not live in a dark hole.
Yeah.
What they do instead is, when they're not paying attention to the city, they go to restaurants in Camarillo and Newbury Park to knock the hell out of the owners because their menu's too pricey or the service wasn't. It's like these people are all restaurateurs.
That's why I don't
Yeah.
go on next door.
I mean, you got to stay away from it. Now,
Yeah.
I know.
Moms of the Canal still scares me, but we're not allowed. You know, if you, I was in Rotary after this took place, but I got to sit with the woman in Arcadia that was responsible for it. There were no women in Rotary. Women were not allowed
Yep.
in Rotary. Why are men not allowed on Moms of the Canal?
I
I mean,
don't-
Pete Buttigieg was breastfeeding, wasn't he? I saw the picture.
I have no
Oh.
idea. No idea.
Well, I wish we had 6
I
more
wish we
hours.
had more time too. This is just too much fun.
It's very fun.
I hope I didn't
No,
talk too much about the
No.
wrong things, because there was
No.
a list of things I read that I knew we wanted to get into. But
you created a ton of value for us.
why do they
I-
have douchebag under my name on the Chiron? I'm teasing.
I
don't have that,
I
by the
really
way.
appreciate you coming on, and I want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you because you humbly met me for coffee just because out of the goodness of your heart and gave me some good advice on my projects. And then you gave me the contact for Edison. And
How did
that's
that
what-
work?
It worked out great. I'm hiring him. So
All right.
yeah. So thank you. You're a great person. You've done
Oh,
a
you're
ton,
very kind.
ton for this community.
Yes.
And I think people are going to really enjoy hearing the real story about Rick Caruso. I mean, that's amazing. And
Thank you. It is 100%
Yeah.
real. Remember, okay, I'm kind of yesterday's news. I'm retired. All right. I don't have to say
Yeah.
something nice about him. Well, I do because he's my friend, but I have friends I don't say nice stuff about
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
And they don't say nice stuff about me either.
Yeah.
I got one friend, I've had coffee with him every Saturday morning for 40 years.
Wow.
And the last 2 years have been very difficult because I have 5 softball games
Oh
to
my
go
gosh.
to. My granddaughters all
Oh,
play
yeah.
softball. And this time I got him because this weekend he canceled coffee for tomorrow morning because he's at his grandson's first Holy Communion in Jersey.
No.
And I said, I'll forgive you. You're in Jersey, for crying out loud.
Hmm.
But
love
listen,
it.
you
Yeah.
guys are great. I really appreciate you taking the time with me. This
No,
has been
thank
so
you.
much fun.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This was
for
my
coming up.
entertainment on a Friday,
No,
which
this
is
was
really
great.
cool.
And when we'll send you the episodes, you can check it out.
Oh, I would love that. Now,
send it
wait a
to your
minute. Though, is there a
grandson.
way that when you send me the episode, I noticed in my car, but I noticed on my phone, if you go to, there's something that you go to in Apple where you can type in,
Oh, the podcast.
yeah.
you can type
Mhm.
in like a podcast name. It'll find it. Once you click it, you can now go to their
And subscribe.
logo every
Yeah.
time. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it'll be on YouTube. And for everybody listening,
This is gonna be on YouTube.
subscribe.
Oh man, you should have like done something with my
Oh.
nose. Look at the size of that nose.
Don't worry, Jonathan back there, he'll fix it all up.
Yeah, you can tell him to get rid of the wrinkles and maybe take off another
Yeah.
25 or 30 pounds.
Done.
but-
Done.
You look great.
So-
Oh, you're so nice.
Thank
You know,
you.
that's the 3. I heard this from a comedian. That's the 3 sayings that define life for people. When they're a baby, oh, look at you, you're so cute. You're a son, hey, you look really great shape. Nice to go. And then you get to be my age. You look good.
Oh, well, thank you
Oh my
everybody
gosh.
for
Thank you so much.
tuning
Yeah.
in to Ladders and Leverage. I hope you enjoyed the show. Share, like it, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.